So we gotta get serious. You're familiar with Billy Mitchell, world video game champion? He could probably do it. So I gotta find a way to harness his power, and I think I found a way. This is his hot sauce. You want something that'll kick you in the ass and heighten your senses?
You know, ever since I first saw this clip, I've wondered, what's the deal with that hot sauce? What's it made of? What's it taste like? You mean to tell me that Billy Mitchell, video game player of the century, really has his own hot sauce? Well, yeah, he does. While most of us are probably familiar with the man through his strides in the world of gaming, a lesser-known side of Mitchell is that he is also a successful American restaurateur and a hot sauce entrepreneur. The information available on Rickey's is surprisingly sparse. After noticing how little documentation there was on it, we decided to reach out to the company directly and cover it ourselves. This is the history, review, and everything else you need to know about Rickey's world-famous hot sauce. The Rickey's restaurants have been around since 1955. The brand is now 70 years old as of the time of this video. The building in which the original Rickey's location was built was declared as a historical landmark by the state of Florida. This place has been around for a while, but Rickey's wouldn't actually resemble what we know it as today until the mid-70s. In 1969, the Mitchell family moved from Massachusetts over 1,300 miles away all the way down to Florida with their 5 children, and they started things out pretty modestly there. Both parents were working separate jobs to support their family. Bill Mitchell Sr. drove a small truck as a delivery driver, while his wife Barbara was working at a local Kmart. Things continued like this until 1974, when they managed to acquire Rickey's. Bill Mitchell Sr. took over the struggling business in hopes of turning it around and providing a stable living for his wife and 5 children. Over the next 4 years, the restaurant's financial uncertainty would continue. Rickey's was a simple restaurant. For a while, it only served cold sandwiches, drinks, and hamburgers. Something needed to change. The Mitchells knew this, and if they were going to make this work, they'd have to come up with something soon. And in 1978, they found their answer. In October 1978, wings were added to the menu. This revolutionized the business. The addition of wings exploded Rickey's popularity and completely turned around their revenue margins. They became one of the first restaurants in the state to serve buffalo-style chicken wings. By the end of the next fiscal year, the restaurant's revenue as a whole would double, just from wing sales. And by the early 2000s, Rickey's would report serving over 500,000 pounds of chicken wings a year. The Rickey's of today sports a pretty eclectic menu. You can get anything from steak to ribs and even lobster. We reached out to the company directly and asked them what their most popular menu item was all these years later. The gentleman we spoke with told us,
"Without a doubt, the #1 menu item at Rickey's is the classic chicken wings. And by far, the most popular sauce is the original Rickey's world-famous Louisiana hot sauce."
I'm sure you can imagine that with all those chicken wings, you'd probably need a lot of sauce to go with them. As the popularity of their wings continued to grow, what really started to take off was the sauce they were served with.
And we weren't quite happy with any hot sauce on the market. If we were gonna have wings, we were gonna have the best in the world, and that meant having the best hot sauce in the world.
Barbara Mitchell laid the groundwork for the now signature Rickey's wings to soar, and by 1980, the Mitchell family had essentially perfected their sauce's formula. It was the perfect table condiment for their most popular dish, and due to the ever-growing demand from the local community, they realized they didn't have to just sell it in their restaurant. As things moved forward, the entire Mitchell family would become intricately involved in the business. Most prominently, however, would be William James Mitchell Jr., or as most of us probably know him as, Billy Mitchell. As is already well documented, Billy made a name for himself in the world of competitive gaming. He was already involved with the family business, but it wasn't until the video game crash of 1983 that Billy would begin his transition from the competitive gaming scene to the full-time operation of Rickey's. By 1985, Billy had stepped away from gaming completely, and over the next 10 years, he and his father would spearhead the distribution of their now revered hot sauce.
I had to look at myself and I had to realize very unhappily that I couldn't just play video games forever, that I had to do something else. Our family business was the restaurants, it was chicken wings, it was hot sauce, and that same obsession that I had in the world of video games now transcended over into the business world. I became obsessed with the idea that I would know more about chicken wings, more about hot sauce than anybody in the world. I lived and breathed it every day, just like I did video games.
In 1988, Rickey's Commissary Incorporated was formed. This new branch of the Rickey's brand would focus on the commercial distribution of their highly acclaimed hot sauce. This would later be rebranded to the Rickey's World Famous Sauce Incorporated we're familiar with today. From this point on, the business would soar, going on to distribute their products worldwide, with Billy himself eventually taking ownership. So this brings us to the Rickey's of today. After learning about their history, we decided to reach out to the company to learn more. During our conversation with the business, we asked if they knew just how many bottles they sell on average. While they didn't have a shipping manifest or anything to share with us, our informant was able to give us some rough numbers. One case of sauce holds 24 bottles. There are 120 cases that fit on a pallet. So one pallet already carries nearly 3,000 bottles. And each truck carries around 24 pallets. That is 54,720 bottles. If we assume a bare minimum of one truck per month, that totals to 691,200 bottles. That is nearly 700,000 bottles a year.
It's sort of like being in a maze, but everything you see is actually sauce.
And that's not even including the gallon-sized jugs, or any promotional bottles if they're running them. That is just the regular hot sauce.
Need some more hot sauce.
So what's going on with the sauce that AVGN drank in episode 72? What exactly is in that bottle, and why does it look like that? Let's take a minute to talk about the sauce itself.
There were quality hot sauces on the market. There are today, but we wanted to be the best. That would mean creating our own formulation.
There are actually 4 main flavors of Rickey's sauce: Louisiana Hot, Jalapeno, Habanero, and the Chicken Wing sauce. The Louisiana flavor is the original and by far the best seller, with second place going to the Chicken Wing sauce. The Jalapeno and Habanero both tend to sit around the same margins. The original Rickey's flavor specializes in cayenne pepper. For anyone unfamiliar, anytime you see the word Louisiana or Louisiana style, that indicates it's a cayenne sauce. Anyway, there have actually been multiple lines of special promotional bottles released. The 2 most well-known are probably the ones they did for the competitive gaming documentaries. These bottles featured the cinematic posters for Man vs. Snake and King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters. We asked the company about these bottles. We wanted to know a little more about them and if they contained the original Rickey sauce or if they used their own unique formula. The company clarified that these bottles were typically collector's variations of the original Rickey's sauce, and that these were usually sold at conventions or movie screenings. The idea was that you'd buy the Rickey's label bottle to use and hold onto the promo bottle as a souvenir item. In the AVGN episode, we can see the bottle he's holding was marked as a limited edition piece, numbered 14 of 24. This appears to be a commemorative bottle that was sold at some kind of convention. To my knowledge, there is no other documentation of this particular bottle anywhere on the internet, and this is not the first time we've seen such an exclusive bottle. Brian Mathern, who goes by the name ArenaFoot on the Atari.io forums, shared his experience collecting a souvenir bottle while attending the 2014 Houston Arcade Expo. Billy Mitchell also attended the expo, and he had a meet and greet booth where he signed autographs and sold merch. Here we can see some of the commemorative items Brian managed to get. As you can see, there were also limited edition posters available too, which is great because they share the same design as the souvenir bottles, giving us a perfect view of the label. Zooming in, you can see it says a limited edition right on the bottle. Matt Dock, the owner of the Galloping Ghosts Arcade of Brookfield, Illinois, has a similar anecdote. He runs the largest arcade in the USA, and during the same year, he received a similar commemorative poster, and a whole case of souvenir bottles with his arcade's branding on them. The Star Worlds Arcade of Illinois also had a commemorative bottle made for them, but I could only find a single picture of it. And here's a more recent example from the 2021 Music City Multicon in Nashville, Tennessee. The first bottle on the left appears to be green, which means it could very well be a commemorative bottle of the jalapeno sauce. Now that's a rarity. So to finally answer the question, based on the color, James Rolfe was most likely drinking the cayenne sauce in a commemorative bottle. During our time speaking with the company, we asked how we could go about getting some sauce ourselves, as it wasn't immediately clear. Turns out, we caught them in the middle of a website relaunch. For years, 800hotsauce.com was the place to go if you wanted Rickey's. But this is no longer the case. So the company hooked us up with a discount code and directed us to their new website, rickeysauce.com. The website is brand new, and currently only the original Rickey's hot sauce is available, but our informant said they're looking to have the remaining 3 flavors available by March. The habanero and jalapeno sauces are coming next and are slated to be added around the same time, and after that the chicken wing sauce will be coming. We also got some exclusive info that there would be additional sauces coming after that, which have not been available before. Amongst these will be a Rickey's barbecue sauce, and they're also developing some other pepper sauces. We're told that they're looking to expand into more exotic pepper sauces and include ingredients like ghost peppers. In the past, you could get a variety pack of the Big Four, shrink-wrapped in a wooden crate. This is also planned to be available by March. As much as we would have loved to get a variety pack, we settled on the original for now, but you better believe we'll have one on the way once they're available. Okay, so editor's note before we move on to the next segment. Literally, as I am working on this video, I checked their website, and as of 2/21/25, these 2 have been added and are available for purchase again. So if you're interested, you can get them now. So now that we know what we're working with, let's take a closer look at the product itself. Each 3-pack of sauce is shipped in its own special box. It has the Rickey's logo right on the front and folds out as a display for your bottles. There's a little write-up about the company, something I wish I had when I started this whole project, and a little picture of Billy right by the logo. Inside are 3 5-ounce sauce bottles with the new design. The bottle has its own blurb, unique to the one on the box, as well as a little portrait of Billy. These are distinctly different from the previous cayenne bottles. The post-relaunch bottles use a new background and have changed the Rickey's logo from blue to red. They've also dropped Louisiana from the title and use a more sleek nutrition label. And the website information has of course been updated to their current domain. The older bottles say "Made in the USA" in all capitals. We asked the company if this was still the case, and they did confirm that all the bottles and packaging are in fact still manufactured in the States. They also briefly touched on where they source their pepper mash. To sum it up, they have a variety of farms they contract, but the vast majority of their ingredients come from the heart of New Mexico. The blurb on the new bottle boldly states that it satisfies customers with the highest percentage of true pepper mash on the market. Well, we'll see about that, because this isn't just a review of Rickey's, oh no. This is a 5-man battle royale. That's right, there must be competition. We're putting these bad boys through 4 different tests, and we'll see who comes out on top. First, we need to check for viscosity. Texture is important. You need something that isn't runny, but not something as thick as a mustard or a ketchup. Runny sauces tend to be watered down or have too much vinegar in them. A more viscous sauce tends to have a richer flavor and usually sticks better to the wing. Generally speaking, you don't want a sauce that's been watered down. Using a napkin or a paper towel, we can demonstrate the differences. The first dab on here is from one of the cayenne sauces. We won't say which one, but notice the ring that's formed around the sauce. That's the water and vinegar puddling out. If we try this with a soy sauce, something that's mostly water, we can see that it puddles out and absorbs into the towel almost immediately. A good example of what you'd want is in this green Cholula. There's quite a lot of pepper mash in here, so the ring that forms around the sauce is very subtle. That's a good sign. Green Cholula is a great sauce, but it's not a cayenne product, it's a jalapeno sauce. You wouldn't put this on your chicken wings, and you wouldn't put Frank's Red Hot on your beans and rice, so it won't be joining the Royale. Finally is a small glob of mustard. There's pretty much no ring for this one, but you wouldn't want to cake your wings in a sauce like this. The goal is to season them, not smother them. There's a balance you need to strike. After applying each sauce, these were our results. Louisiana brand scored dead last by a huge margin. It had the largest ring, and it did not take long for it to form. Crystal was next. This one actually started out not looking so bad, but it eventually blew out to be the second worst. Frank's also wound up with a ring similar to Crystal, but it took a good while longer for it to get there. The Winco generic surprised us the most, as we really weren't expecting much. This one held together very well and didn't have that noticeable a ring for a while. And in first place, by quite the margin, was Rickey's. We actually moved these paper towels to the side and looked at them like an hour later, and even then Rickey's was still holding strong. Round 1 goes to Rickey's. First up was Frank's. We decided to use this one as our baseline. Frank's is widely considered to be the most popular hot sauce in the country, and it's one that I've used plenty of times before. It was of course good.
I like me some Frank's.
Next up was Crystal. I wasn't too pleased with it.
There's a lot of vinegar in that one.
Louisiana brand was next, and I didn't go into this one with much confidence.
Kind of worried how this one will do based off of the paper towel test.
Yes, this sauce tasted so bad, I started laughing. After a quick palate cleanser, it was time to finish the last couple. Next up was Winco Generic. Once again, Winco had me pleasantly surprised.
That's a good sauce. Better than Frank's.
It beat Frank's in terms of flavor, which meant there was only one more contender for it to beat.
The Rickey's. That's good.
This sauce easily had the best flavor of the group. I was surprised as this one put Frank's to shame, something I was not expecting. Even the cameraman agreed.
Tried and true. That's
Right.
pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not just pure vinegar. That's good stuff. So these were lined up in order of how successful they were with the paper towel test. I didn't figure they would score the same with actual quality of the flavor.
But lo and behold, they did. The same ranking as before applied to round 2. The winner of round 2, Rickey's. Round 3 will be a competition of how good these wings come out when they're baked in the sauces. Each sauce will be graciously applied to 2 chicken wings each, and then baked for a more deeply seasoned wing. For this round, we made sure to clean off our basting brush each time we switched sauces. That way we weren't mixing them together and throwing off the taste. We'll be tasting these in descending order from the results of the last test.
So we'll start with the Rickey's wing.
The Rickey's wing was totally solid. I didn't say very much because I kind of got distracted by just enjoying the food, but it was full of flavor and I had no complaints.
Very good. Clean the bone off. Next up we got the generic.
This was also a good wing. The transition to this one from the last was a little jarring, and I felt like there was something missing. I furrowed my brow a bit here and really bit into it while I was figuring it out.
That is a good chicken wing, but it doesn't kick as much as Rickey's. Does not taste bad, but needs a little more kick. Tried and true, Frank's Red Hot. I have made these wings several times with Frank's, so I kind of know what to expect.
This one also tasted good. It wasn't lacking in the heat like the Winco generic, but the flavor took a noticeable downgrade. It was apparent that this sauce was significantly thinner than the previous two.
It's not a bad wing, it's a good chicken wing, but compared to the first two, you can definitely taste that there's more vinegar on this. But I think you could cook these for a party and you'd be happy.
Crystal was not very impressive. Whereas the previous 3 wings were all good, the best I could say about Crystal was that it was just okay.
It's okay. This is the first one where I would say you definitely don't want to use it if you have the others available. Last one, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm not really looking forward to it because it's kind of failed me in every other regard. The Louisiana.
This was actually disappointing. I kept taking bites in the hopes that it would somehow get better, but it just didn't.
It's just so obviously got way more vinegar in there than it ever needs to.
The first 3 sauces were all good this round, but the only one that stood out as great in both flavor and heat was Rickey's. The winner for round 3, it has to be Rickey's. It's one thing to prepare your wings in a sauce, but it's another ballgame entirely to apply that sauce to something that's already been cooked. Doing it this way means that your wings aren't getting as deep of a seasoning, making it harder for the sauces to hold up. The Rickey's restaurants proudly offer their sauce as a table condiment for you to use freely. Let's see how the competition stacks up when they're used like this. I kind of found my stride with being on camera during this last round, so for most of these entries, the footage itself really does the talking.
We're gonna try these in reverse order. I feel like it's only fair. That's bad. There's too much vinegar. I think that's our first wing fail. We clean the bones on all of them, but just having it dip on there is kind of terrible. Crystal. If I went over to someone's house and they served me this to just put it on, I would say it's definitely the wrong sauce to do that. If you're not cooking it in there, you shouldn't just throw it over the top like that. These last two are just kind of bad, man. Next up, we got the tried and true. That is good. You can totally just have that as a table condiment. You have these two as table condiments. No, just don't do that. Rethink your choices. Just the generic Winco cayenne sauce. Just dabbing it on the chicken like that when you're not baking it on. I think Frank's is actually better as just a regular table condiment, but I'd much rather cook it in the Winco sauce.
I didn't expect Winco to fall where it did this round. Generally, I like the sauce more than Frank's due to its better flavor, but I felt that it was just too lacking in the heat to be a superior table condiment. I would easily choose this over Frank's in most other circumstances, especially if we're cooking the wings in the sauce. But for this particular purpose, Frank's beat it out.
All right, last one. I expect big things from you, Rickeys. You've won first place in all the others, but can you take it here as a table condiment?
Once again, I was surprised by just how much I liked this sauce. Rickey's had a really pleasant aftertaste when used this way. It had a stronger flavor profile than the other two sauces that I liked, and this confused me at first because the other two sauces I didn't like also tasted very strong. The difference was that the strength of this sauce really does come from the actual pepper mash content. This one worked so much better as a table condiment that I applied a second dab to my wing to finish it off. I picked the bone clean.
I think we're good there.
With that round out of the way, let's tally the results and see what we're looking at. Going into this, I genuinely did not expect a 4-round sweep from any of these sauces. In my experience, Rickey's really is a step above the rest. But don't just take my word for it. Let's see what the cameraman has to say.
I won't waste any time here. I'll just stick to these two. I'm gonna start off with Rickey's. It's good. Just like how it was when it was baked in. I could see why they served it on the table side like that. Oh, God. Yeah, that's piss. That shit's for the birds.
All jokes aside, this really is the ranking we settled on. I say this with complete and utter sincerity. Rickey's is genuinely the best cayenne hot sauce I've had. If it was economically viable for me, I would definitely be a Rickey's guy. I live on the West Coast, so I can't just walk into a Sam's Club and pull a bottle off the shelf. I have to get it mailed to me each time. Maybe when the gallon jug comes back for online order, I'll splurge and get myself one of those. That thing would last me forever. I'm honestly really interested in trying all the other sauces now. My favorite hot sauce in general is green Cholula. It's my go-to for Mexican food and scrambled eggs, when I need a jalapeno sauce. So after seeing how well the cayenne sauce performed, I'm really interested to see if their jalapeno formulation can beat my favorite. Only time will tell, but like I said, we'll definitely have a variety pack on the way once they become available. During my research for this video, I actually did manage to get a bottle of the Rickey's chicken wing sauce from an online reseller. I'm pretty sure I scooped up the last one in all of cyberspace because I have yet to see another one appear for sale since. As you can see, it has the classic blue Rickey's logo on it, so this is not a relaunch bottle. I have no way of telling how old it is, so I couldn't test it in good faith. Maybe when I finally get that variety pack, I'll give it a whirl, see how it compares to the bottle from that one. And just in case it wasn't already clear, no, I was not paid to say any of this. I am in no way sponsored by the company. This project was simply born from an interest to document and review a subject in a way that I felt would be palatable and entertaining. I make videos about things I find interesting, and this just happened to be one of them. I'll see you next time.
I don't know how they're getting away with the original one. It kind of makes sense, you know, it was the first one to do it, and everyone else learned what not to do, so good for them.